All right. When all the dust settles, high ticket web design boils down to discovering one thing. And the one thing is the difference between implementation and transformation. So what we're going to do today is we're going to talk about what does that mean? How does that equate to high ticket web design? What's the difference between high ticket and low ticket web design? And then I'm going to give you 5 huge things that once you make that shift will kind of just drift away. Like 5 big problems that are solved by shifting away from implementation and into transformation when it comes to the way that you interact with your clients. So, hey, it's Dan. Good to see you, Dan. High five to you. So that's the big deal for today. And I kind of had this light bulb moment. Like been in a bunch of conversations earlier this week, and people are asking like, what's the main thing that I need to take away from like the DoubleStack program, or shifting away from low ticket website development and into something where I have these high value, long term, deep relationships with my clients. What does that look like? How do I do that? And what are you really talking about? Like, what's the essence of what we're talking about? And so I had to kind of think through, like, how can I boil this down? Like, how can I put it into just the most basic terms that I possibly could to get the point across? And I got it down to 2 words. And I think that's pretty much the most simple possible way that I could possibly explain it. Is just 2 words: the before word, the after word. The before word is implementation. The afterword is transformation. So how do you make that shift for your clients? How do you make that shift in your marketing and your mindset and the value that you attribute to your own work? And here's what it comes down to. So the problem is there are so many ways to get a website implemented today. Even if you went to like Wix or Weebly or Squarespace, you could, a lot of people can just implement their own website. They can build their own website. Another thing would be Fiverr or Upwork or Craigslist. You can if what you're looking for is someone to implement a website for you, you can do that very, very inexpensively, even free in many cases, if you're just willing to spend your own time kind of putting together a site for yourself. But the problem is that a one-size-fits-all sort of solution will never be a high-ticket solution. So like if you're in the situation where you're telling yourself, or you're writing on your website, or someone says, hey, what do you do? And you say, well, I build websites. And then you say like who for? And you're like, oh, well, I could work with anybody, whatever your needs are, whatever you want. I can do everything. I've got the skills to really pull it together. I work with everybody. I can make a huge impact for everybody. That is a one-size-fits-all solution. And what people tend to fall into the trap of doing is presenting themselves in the context of, here's what I can do for you, right? So, and then up comes the big list of all the things that you can do, right? Web design, maybe photography, maybe social media management, maybe local SEO, maybe videography, maybe copywriting, maybe email marketing. You begin to get into this list of just listing, here's what I can do for you, and it applies to anybody. And that's what the problem is. So you're pushing yourself into this one-size-fits-all implementation category. And that's the essence of low-ticket web design or WordPress consulting. That's the problem. That's what everybody's doing. And if you find yourself doing that, then you're going to have a really difficult time getting the kinds of revenue coming in that you actually need to do your best work. And if you're not doing your best work, how are you supposed to deliver results for your clients if you have to take shortcuts and not do the things that you wish you could be doing because the revenue's not there for you to be able to do it? How are your clients supposed to be able to get the level of results that they're looking for? And then how do you stabilize your revenue? Like if you're not there helping clients after you've implemented the website, how are you supposed to have sustainable recurring revenue coming in? And how do you differentiate yourself from everybody else who can implement all of these same things, right? So like if you're talking to people and say, oh, well, I do web design, I do, branding, I can write copy, I can do email marketing. And someone else says, I can build websites and do branding and content marketing and whatever. If everybody's saying the same words, what's the difference between somebody choosing to work with you versus somebody choosing to work with anyone else in the giant sea of people who can do all of those same implementations of technical skills? So if you find yourself saying, here's what I can do for you, I think you're kind of shifting yourself into the low value, all the noise, that's what everybody else is doing. Instead, what you need to do is you need to start saying, here's how I can help you. And now it's a subtle shift. I understand that it's a subtle shift, but it makes all the difference in the world. The shift is away from here's what I can do for you into here's how I can help you. And so the reason that that's such a big shift is because when you say here's what I can do for you, you're in implementation mode, right? You're just saying, here, I can do all of these things for you. Which of these things would you like me to do? When you say, here's how I can help you, now you're in transformation mode because you're actually taking someone's problems and helping them or serving them. Here's how I can serve you. Here's how I can help you. That's the area that you want to be in. Once you get into that area, now you're in transformation mode. You're transforming your client's situation into from a bad situation into a good situation because of you. That is the essence of high ticket anything, really, including high ticket web design, high ticket WordPress consulting. If you can transform somebody's bad situation into a much better situation because of you, that's something that will earn you a lot more money. It'll earn your clients a lot more money. You're literally being effective for them. And so again, if you're telling someone, here's what I can do for you, which of these things would you like me to do? You're in implementation mode. If you then shift away from that and say, here's how I can help you, now you're in transformation mode. And when you get into transformation mode, there's 5 big things that you solve that are normally things that just crush the solopreneur kind of independent WordPress consultant, web designer business. The first one being the feast or famine problem. Like if you're in implementation mode, at the end of the implementation, you tend to stop doing the work and kind of hand everything over to the client, and thus also stops your revenue. So now you have this problem where you have to keep landing more and more projects in order to keep getting the same kind of cash flow coming in. Nothing's really scaling or building. And you've got this issue where when you are building everything sort of falls in on your head because you're not winning new clients in the process. So you have this really spiky, unpredictable feast or famine style revenue structure coming in. When you move into transformation mode, where you're actually helping someone or serving someone at this deeper level, then what's happening is after you build all the tools, you then use the tools that you just built. And so you have this ongoing relationship with your clients, which solves the feast or famine problem because you have the initial build out phase, but then you also have, okay, now let's use all this stuff phase, like the ongoing month to month forever part of the relationship, which of course stabilizes your income. It saves you from having to, hey, look, I see a bunch of people showing up. I've got 2 screens going on. So I see Dan, I see Jim. Good to see you, Jim. High five to you. I see Rebecca. Oh, wow, it's Rebecca. I haven't seen you in a while. Great to see you, Rebecca. I hope you're doing well. And Joni's here too. Look at this. It's like a reunion. I feel like I haven't seen you guys in a while, and it's cool to see you back. So high five to all you guys. So okay, so the feast or famine issue gets resolved because of the fact that you now have these ongoing relationships with your clients. So thing number 2 that gets resolved is you solve the problem of how do you communicate with your clients without having to overwhelm them with all of this tech talk. So like a lot of times what will happen is people will say, here's what I can do for you. And then you begin to say, local SEO or, responsive web design. Let me explain what responsive web design is because you got to have a mobile ready site because Google's got this, this mobile first indexing algorithm thing going on. And we've got to, put a priority on all of that. And, you just said indexing algorithm. As soon as you say indexing algorithm or something like that, people are going to glaze over, be overwhelmed. They're not going to understand what it means. They're going to wait for you to finish talking and then hopefully, pick up the pieces after that. And so instead of that, wouldn't it be much more interesting to offer how you can actually help somebody? Like, here's how we get more calls. Here's how we get more people in the mix. Like whatever is going on that you feel like you can help with, let's talk about that because that now puts a context around what you're going to be doing, how you can be helping, what kind of results people could expect because they're working with you, those types of concepts. So it solves the problem of when you're meeting with clients, they don't know what you're talking about because you're not talking about what you can do for them. You're talking about how you can help them. Again, you're shifting out of implementation into transformation. So that's the second thing. The third thing that this whole shift solves is the price point problem because everybody's out there selling these inexpensive implementations of websites and social media marketing and all of the different technical services. They're just implementing those for you, kind of waiting for the client to give all the direction and to say what to do and all of those types of things. And of course, if you then say, I'm just going to charge 10 times more than everybody else because I want to make $10,000 a month and everybody else is whatever charging less. I'm just going to charge more. Then you price yourself out of the market. And what that looks like is you say the same words that everybody else says. You say web design, SEO, whatever, and everyone else is saying web design, SEO, whatever. It's just that you're so much more expensive. Then what's going to happen is the client's going to say, hey, I'd love to work with you, but that's way more than I was expecting. Why are you so much more expensive than everybody else? I can't afford that. That's not in my budget. And when you hear things like that, those should be giant red flags that, hey, you know what? I'm pricing myself out of the market here. I've got to do something different. I can't make this happen the way that I'm currently doing it. I have to make a change. And this is the change. The change is stop telling people what you can implement for them and start telling them what you can actually do to transform their situation from this bad situation into a good situation. So you solve the price point problem by making this transformation because you're not just in the same crowd as everybody else, and you're offering a significantly higher value outcome that enables you to connect the dots between how what you're doing now ultimately means more calls, more clients, more brand visibility, more traffic, more customers in some way, like some business impact. And so therefore, you can charge a lot more for it because you're offering that degree of transformation and you're there to implement it on an ongoing basis. So that's thing number 3 is it solves the price point problem. And thing number 4 is it closes the door to the competition, which is very similar to solving the price point problem. Like part of this whole shift is that you're not doing it the same way as everybody else. Like you're not out there trying to sell the exact same services as everyone else. You're offering a different type of outcome. And so rather than saying, hey, look at all the stuff I just did for you, or saying, here's all the things I could be doing for you, which ones would you like to pick? You're taking it a step further. And you're actually saying, here's what I can do to help you. And this is perhaps, the strategy that we'll use to pull this together. But ultimately, the focus is on the transformation you're making for your clients, not the implementation of your technical skill set. And so that solves the problem of all the competition because everybody else is out there peddling all of these technical services. Like literally, like go onto Upwork or Fiverr or dare I say Craigslist and, see what people are offering. And everyone's saying, look what I can do, look what I can do, or just go onto Google and type in, local web design branding companies or whatever, and look at their websites. And you'll see that almost everybody has a website that lists all the things they can do. They say, these are the things I can implement for you. And if you're in the same mix saying, these are the things that I can implement for you too, then you're in the pool with all the people, with all the competition. And that is a problem. You can't rise above that because there's nothing different. There's nothing new. There's nothing distinct. There's no way to differentiate you from anybody else. So things tend to fall down to, well, who costs more? Like what's the price difference? And that's not a place you want to be in because that's the race to the bottom. When you shift away from that and say, hey, this is how I can help a portrait photographer make $10,000 a month with the camera through online marketing, then that's a very different type of transformation. Or here's how I can save like say for example, the photography thing. I use this example from time to time. Like say for example, you feel like you can really do something to help a portrait photographer find new clients, increase her pricing, get her workflow dialed in, like help with a variety of things that you can do in the context of that particular outcome. Then say this is what I can do for someone in that situation. And now what you're doing is you're taking that photographer from a situation where they're just kind of posting their pictures on Instagram and hoping it all works out into something that's like legit with an actual business model with structure behind it, with results that you can expect because you've now put a whole new degree of momentum behind that person's business. That's a very, very different situation. No one else is out there doing it. Everyone else is out there listing all the things that they can implement for them. No one's putting it together in a way that makes an impact for them. That's what I'm talking about. It's the difference between implementation and transformation. So it closes the door to the competition. It sets you apart. It justifies higher pricing. It solves the problem with communicating with your clients so that you can avoid all the tech talk. And it solves the feast or famine roller coaster. And then the last thing that it does, which is also really, really critical, is it solves the problem of winning clients who already have websites or clients who don't think they need websites because they already have a Facebook page or something like that. Because the truth is, if you don't have a strategy to go out there and answer the question of, hey, I've already got a website, why should I work with you? And then your answer is, well, shucks, I guess maybe you just need a better WordPress theme, or maybe you should move from Wix to WordPress, or something along those lines. Nobody's going to say yes. Nobody is going to say yes to that because I think my connection just dropped. No, it's back. Nobody's going to say yes to that because it's more of the same. They've already put investment into what they're doing, and they don't want to invest heavier because they're not seeing the results. So if you don't have an answer for why should I work with you because I already have a website, then you don't have a marketing strategy because everybody already has a website. And so when you make this shift from implementation to transformation, you can say, yeah, I see that you have a website, but is it performing for you? Are you getting results out of it? Is it meeting the expectations you had when you invested in it initially? And sometimes people will be like, well, I didn't know what to do. I just kind of built my own site on Wix. I was just needed some kind of link for my business card. I wasn't really putting much effort into it. But now I can see what you're offering is dramatically different from what I could have done for myself. And that, again, is the difference between implementing a website for the sake of having it on your business card to offering a transformation, meaning using their online presence to actually drive some sort of outcome for your client. So it solves that issue, or it could be a problem where, hey, we've got a Facebook page. That's all we need. We just kind of post updates on Facebook from time to time, and that's kind of where our audience is. We don't need a website. And then if you're going to say, well, let me build one for you anyway, because I know how to do responsive web design and SEO and all these other things, and you're just kind of implementing these services, most of the time, clients are going to be like, I don't want that. So for example, if you find yourself cold calling or cold emailing or cold messaging people on Facebook or LinkedIn or whatever, and you're not getting much of a response from that, it's probably because you're offering to implement something rather than transform their situation. And most business owners aren't really going to give you the time of day for that. They don't need more implementation. If they wanted implementation, they know where to find it. They can do it themselves. They can find it cheaper anywhere. If it's on them to figure out what the path to success is and then hire someone to kind of implement that stuff, they could be doing that already. They don't want to. They don't know what to ask for. They're not looking for implementers. So if you're in a position where you want to move out of this implementation mindset into a transformation mindset, that's going to be your gateway. That's going to be your ticket into high ticket consulting. And the 5 big things that you're going to solve, just as a review, it solves the feast or famine problem, so you have steady cash flow. It solves the communication problem, so you don't have to just overwhelm clients with tech talk all the time. It solves the price point problem, so you can justify higher expenses because you're articulating where the return on investment comes from. So it solves the price point problem. It closes the door to competition because everyone else is just offering to implement stuff for their clients, whereas when somebody works with you, they're getting a transformation. They're solving a problem. They're in a bad situation, you're transforming it into a good situation, and they can thank you for it. That, of course, closes the door to the competition. Nobody else is doing it that way. And then the final thing is you begin to have an answer for when people say, I already have a website, why should I work with you? You don't just have to say, well, because I can implement this, that, and the other. You can actually say, because I can transform your situation for you. Here is how I can help you. So summary, stop saying, here's what I can do for you. Start saying, here's how I can help you. That's the difference between implementation and transformation. And if you want to talk more about this, then let's get on the phone and talk specifically, you and me, about how to do this in the context of your skill set and of your market and the things that you're interested in and the history that you have with your business and the price points and everything. So head over to doublestack.net/call. You'll see my calendar, pick a time that works for you, and we'll get on there and solve all these problems. Like, what does it mean to make a transformation for someone else with the skill set that you have, right? Because maybe you've got videography skills, maybe you've got photography skills, maybe you can do copywriting, maybe and branding, obviously web design. Most people here can do web design. So let's talk one-on-one about what are your skill sets, what's the most powerful combination of those skill sets, and then let's start putting some marketing together so that you can attract clients that want those things from you. And so that's what we do. So that's what DoubleStack is all about. The big thing about DoubleStack is, the first stack is, what are those technical tools? Like maybe you're thinking to yourself, I don't know if I have the skill set from a technical perspective to do more than just implementation. Like, okay, so what if I build a website? Well, then what do I do with it? Like, what are some other things that I can put on the site that give me the tools to use that can allow me to drive some sort of a transformative result? So that's the first stack. It's the tech stack. So let's make sure that you feel super comfortable and confident with the technical tools that you use to drive results for your clients. And then let's put some marketing together. So then we do the business development stack. That's where we put the marketing together to figure out, what do you actually say to your clients? Like, what is your transformative offer that you can make to people? And what are some outcomes that are realistic to expect? And what should you charge for all of that? And can your market sustain those types of rates? And will your business structure sustain the income levels that you're looking for without having to work 24/7? So like, those are all big questions. So there's the technical stack of how do you actually put the tools in place. Then there's the business development stack, thus the name DoubleStack, for how you actually do the marketing, the pricing, finding clients, communicating with clients, writing the proposals, all of those types of things. And the big concept behind all of it is this very thing that we're talking about here, the difference between implementation versus transformation. How do we get you out of a situation where you're just talking about all the different things that you can do for somebody and into a situation where you're talking about how you can actually help someone in a genuine, authentic way, providing leadership, expertise, making people feel confident in working with you. And of course, once people start feeling confident, then that's really the foundation for these high-ticket, long-term investments. So head over to doublestack.net/call. You'll see my calendar, pick a time that works for you, and we'll get on the phone one-on-one for about 45 minutes and talk specifically about how to do this in the context of your business, in your market, with your skill set, and we'll kind of take it from there. So if this sounds good, you want to do high-ticket consulting, you're feeling really frustrated with any of those 5 huge problems that this transformation will solve for you, the feast or famine roller coaster with your cash flow all over the place, feeling like you're overwhelming clients all the time with your tech talk, not feeling like you can raise your prices for fear of losing clients because you feel like you just price yourself out of the market. If you feel like there's too much competition, you don't know how to differentiate yourself. If you're feeling like a lot of clients could use your help, but they're saying, hey, I've already got a website, I don't need another one, and you're having a hard time articulating some sort of a reason why that they should work with you instead of keep the abandoned site that they already have, that's the point of making this whole shift from implementation to transformation. Love to help you with it. It's a free call. It's 45 minutes, and we'll really dive into all of this stuff together. So head over to doublestack.net/call. You'll see my calendar. Pick a time that works good for you. And right after that, you'll see another form that like a link to your website and maybe just a little more information about your business and the kind of projects you normally accept. So that when we get on the phone, it's going to be 45 minutes of awesome. So that's the plan for today. Look, more people showed up since I was here. I see Chris. I see 2 Chris's, Chris Reagan and Chris Rabkin. 2 high fives to you. And Emily is there. Thumbs up to you. All right. So it's great seeing you guys. And we'll be back again on Tuesday for another one of our conversations. So great talking to you. And high five for the rest of the week. Boop. If you have any questions, put them in the comments. I'll keep an eye on it throughout the week. And look forward to seeing you guys again soon.